and y'all were expecting Josh. Not tonight. We kicked him to the curb. He's gone. No more. He'll be back next week. I have got a treat for y'all tonight, but before we jump into that, I'm going to jump into this. But in all seriousness, Josh had a prior commitment. He's letting work get in the way of this. I know it's not fair to y'all. It's not fair to me. We will boo Josh next time we see him. And y'all know I've got the boo button always triggered and ready to go. But tonight, wanted to have somebody special on. We've known this guy for a while. A lot of y'all know him. A lot of y'all know his art. We've always had a ton of fun with him, hanging out at the cons. The couple of times we've been at the shop at the same time and just kind of hanging out. He's a super cool dude, and he's also got some fun stuff that he's doing this coming month and December. So let's go ahead and jump straight to Mr. Corbin Delaney.
How's it going?
What's going on, brother?
Well, not too much. Yeah, you can tell Josh that he's lost all his first place dibs for Wicked since he didn't show up tonight.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to give him a hard time over that because he literally at the last minute I say the last minute, it was earlier in the week. It was like, oh, I've got to go do this thing for my job. I'm not going to be able to make it. What do you want to do? And I'm like, okay, so here's the people that could come on, but here's the person that I want to come on. But Corbin really and truly doesn't answer his Instagram messages in a timely manner. So do you know how to get in touch with him?
Yeah, I'm pretty terrible all the way around when it comes to answering messages through social media.
Well,
but in my defense, so my day job is marketing. And so I run their social media, and then I've got my art social media, and then I've got my personal Facebook, and it's just, it's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, I don't know if I could keep up with all that because, I mean, I know that I'm slowly but surely drifting away from Facebook. I could kind of care less. I don't post that much on Instagram. I'm literally just picking back and forth with my friends through messages.
Yep.
I spend the majority of my time doing the Haven YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I mean, as weird as it sounds, I don't know what it is when I start digging into the analytics of when people are watching, who's watching, which country, and all this stuff. For whatever reason, it's kind of relaxing.
Oh yeah. Instagram's doing really well right now. I did the YouTube there for a little bit, and but I always forget to record what I'm drawing. I get started, and then I'm just like, wow, I was supposed to record, 5 little clips of that, and I just completely forgot. I just get so swept up in it that I forget to take those videos, or forget to set it up.
I get caught up in the trying to figure out which song fits which short perfectly. Yeah. And then I'll get caught up in, hey, that's a good song for this short, but I need to scan through the song because I want certain words or a certain line to pop up at a certain point. Mm-hmm. So, and for whatever reason, it relaxes me. I actually enjoy doing that. We have kind of went off topic pretty quick.
Yeah. We did.
But so a lot of us around here in our neck of the woods, we all know you. We see you at cons. We hang out. We talk. We've known you for a while. But for the people that don't know you, and I got a little video to play, I think we need to know your... One day they're going to mistake me for knowing what I'm doing.
I mean, that was pretty fancy, man.
Yeah, I know. So how did you get started in comics and then down the whole, comic art? I mean, what's your origin story on the comic book industry?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I've loved comics since I was a kid. I can remember my very first comic book was Captain America. I don't remember what issue it was. I remember I was, probably 3 years old and it had curse words in it, and I thought that was awesome. And and that kind of that love for comics kind of always stayed with me. I used to I drew a ton as a kid, coloring books and all of that. Never really considered art as a career. For believe it or not, there was a time there when I thought being an accountant was what I wanted to do with my life. And, as I kind of got older, I started learning about other jobs and things. I then kind of went into the graphic design aspect of it, even though I loved comics still. But just, I probably wasn't until college that I just kind of went, I really want to pursue this. And I kind of switched where, I was doing a lot of like fine art stuff, drawing my dog, drawing my grandpa, draw this scenery and background and kind of switched to the more the comic book style stuff and dove into it then. And then basically started just getting all these doodles around. And my wife was like, hey, you either need to start doing something with this or I'm going to start chunking it. And we had too much stuff everywhere. And
well, she wants to chunk it. She can throw it my way.
Yeah, right. And this stuff wasn't very good at this time, though. Still, I mean, it was pretty rough because I was having to switch that mindset because, like I said, I was doing more fine art stuff, and so it was very much look at this picture and draw it. And I was that kind of first process was switching from that aspect to let me pull up a picture in my brain and draw it from memory and draw it from my brain. And, I still use reference pictures and stuff from time to time. But at that time I thought, well, if you're going to be a comic book artist, you can't use reference photos. You just got to pull it all up from your brain. And so kind of switched to where I was doing more my creations than I was trying to copy things. And so it was a long process. Then we had a local comic book store here in Florence called it was Pegasus Records, and they brought me out asked me to come out one day for free comic book day and set up, and people seemed to enjoy the artwork, and the next thing I know, I got invited to the Huntsville Expo. I got a table from them and set up there, and then the next year, of course. Jeremy, I think he was doing a contest where you could do a poster, a T-shirt design, and I won the poster contest, and so I got my table free that year. And then the next year, they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we just want you to do the posters," and so that's kind of been every year since then. And then besides that, I did those Marvel Upper Deck sketch cards for a couple years, and did that, and that was fun. And now I'm just kind of, riding the wave. Still doing the Huntsville Expo and doing a couple local expos. And but of course, I've got children who are growing up and a job, and so just trying to juggle it all and seeing what happens.
Now, with your art, because you posted something one time on Instagram, and yeah. The second I saw it, I jumped on it, and it was a sketch that you did of Edgerton.
Yeah.
And I jumped on it as fast as I could. That's the thing, though. I'm not even that big of an Edgerton fan, but for whatever reason, just that line drawing that you had done of him, it was one of those, I've got to own that.
Yeah.
When you look at, because you like your Instagram, and I'm going to post the link to your Instagram, and we'll pull it up here in just a second so people can see what I'm talking about. You have a really good mix of Marvel, DC, and Disney.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you compared Marvel comics and DC comics and then Disney art, that's three different art styles.
Yeah.
Which one do you prefer? Which one, I guess, would be what feels most natural to you and that you enjoy the most, drawing the most out of those three art styles?
Well, it's kind of depends on the day. There are days where, I just really want kind of that more gritty comic book style, and then there are days that, I want to do more children's artwork. I've got that Harry Potter print that I did where, I was reading Harry Potter and just kind of was like, man, I want to draw this scene. The scene popped up in my head and I wanted to draw it. And so, but I kind of I have different styles that fit where I need them. I kind of have a little bit more of a cartoony and, like you said, Disney side that I can kind of turn to and play with. That is a lot more, a little bit more fun and dynamic because you can kind of get loose with the lines. You don't have to pay attention to, muscle tones and things like that. It's just, it's a little bit more freeing. And so that's always kind of fun to do. And, I don't have to take the sketch as serious. And then, of course, with the comic book side, that's more of the meticulous side of things, making sure you've got, belts and pouches and muscles and weapons and, all of that. And so, they both kind of have their advantages and disadvantages. So, yeah. Oh, thank you, Colby. Well, we enjoyed that. Was over at Columbia Expo. That was last weekend. And, that was a ton of fun.
Yeah, I remember at the Pop Culture Expo this year, I rounded the corner probably 10 times. And you were covered up every single time I rounded the corner, never sat down, and you just looked to be as happy as you could possibly be. And I was sitting there thinking, I done been telling them people to get away from me for a minute.
The expo was absolutely crazy. And that's how, Columbia was the same way. Actually just me and my daughter that time for last weekend. And we didn't get to sit down until I think 2 or 3 o'clock. But the Huntsville Expo this year had such a huge turnout, and I had my wife helping me. There was a couple days I don't even think I got to go to the bathroom. I mean, it was just absolutely crazy. Just the expo in general just had so many people, this year, and it had a really good placement, that I just seemed to, get that crowd coming towards me, and it was nice.
Yeah, I think I got to talk to you like one time during the expo. And then from that point on, it was just like, yeah, I'm not going to bother Corbin. I'll just kind of like walk by with the camera, film, and just keep going. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so we can actually show people what we're talking about when we talk about all your different art and everything. There we go. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, to me, we got this one right here. I don't know if that's there we go. That's a gorgeous picture right there.
Yeah.
So are you going to sell prints of that one?
Oh, and I don't think anyone wants that,
Now see this one right here. Well, crap, that's actually a video. But this one of Robin Hood and actually all of your Disney stuff, dude, absolutely blew me away. Your Robin Hood looks like you could have done it for the movie itself.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. That's high praise.
I mean, that's one of the prints that I do own of yours. I was trying to see if it's probably way down there. But when you look at Disney, compare Robin Hood to Splinter. I mean, you said you really depend on what you want to draw at that time. Is it difficult to shift gears like that?
No, not really. It's because there's a lot of things that kind of transition back and forth, if that makes sense. I've been told that my comic book art still has a little bit of a cartoon flair to it. That's actually kind of how I learned to draw was through cartoons at first. As a kid, I drew a ton of anime. Of course, Pokemon was huge. So I did that. I did the Looney Tunes cartoons and Disney. My aunt gave me a how to draw a cartoon book. And so that's kind of how I built my foundation. And so, like I said, even my comic book, if you look close, it does have a little more cartoony quality, than say someone like, Jim Lee or those countless other artists out there. So yeah, it's not too hard. I think the hardest thing when you're talking like, Looney Tunes or Disney is you want it to have your own style, but you still want it to look like that character and still kind of have that Disney flair or that Warner Bros. Flair, whatever it is. And so that's probably the hardest aspect of it, is trying to capture those kind of original designs and that original feeling, while still keeping it your own. Because that's kind of, like I said, it's the one thing I won't ever copy another artist. I'm not going to pull up a picture of Hades and just draw Hades exactly how he was in the movie. And so, like I said, it's just that's a little bit difficult.
Okay, I keep clicking on videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a while there on Instagram where those reels were out. The algorithm was talking to the reels, so I did a lot of reels at one point in time.
See, now, like your Fozzie Bear, and let's see, is this going to be a reel or is it going to be, all right, it's going to be an actual picture.
Yeah.
So, and the Fozzie Bear that we just showed, and this one right here, when I see stuff like this, I sit there and honestly think, why have they not snatched this dude up and moved him to the freaking animation studio and put him to work? Because I don't, this may, like usual, send all hate and email to nick@twobrothers.com. I don't like the current Disney art style.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like more of to me, your art fits in with what I grew up with. The newer art style, the more CGI style, the way they're doing it. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of that. This right here, to me, is absolutely beautiful.
I mean, I'm with you. I've always kind of preferred the older Disney movies. Of course, I grew up in the 90s when we had the Lion King and a lot of the, I guess technically they're classic Disneys now. I don't think of them as classic, but I grew up watching Robin Hood and King Arthur and Peter Pan and so that kind of traditional illustration, for Disney was, that's, to me, that's the best.
And then we go from that to Mum Ra. I mean, it's just, I love the way that you jump back and forth with it.
And I love drawing monsters, like, creatures like, Mum Ra or there's Kang. That's another, that's probably one of my favorite things to draw is like just creatures as well. And so, like I said, it's just however I feel, whatever I want to do that day. Of course, the Wicked event, that's what you were pulling up there, were from last year's Wicked. That's always kind of fun because, I get to dabble. One day I'll do a serial killer, and then the next day I'll be doing a Disney villain, and then the next we'll be doing, a comic book villain. And so that's always kind of a fun event because each day is a different style and a different drawing.
Okay, so I think this right here is a pretty good one of what I was talking about with the different styles. We got Harley here, and then we jump and we've got Scooby here. So tell us about the Wicked event. I know what Wicked is, but tell everybody else what Wicked is.
So basically, it's a spin off of Inktober. Inktober was a challenge that was started, for artists on social media, where basically you do a drawing every single day of the month of October. So 31 drawings total. The reason why I call it Wicked and not Inktober, it's basically because Inktober is based on like prompts. So, they release, 31 prompts, and it'll be, angry or shiny or whatever, and your drawing has to go with that prompt. And I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to do my own little spin. And so my idea was, I wanted to do a month of just, kind of horror and bad guys and villains, the creepy things, just kind of all those fun pop culture things that we correlate with Halloween. And so that's how it started. And I would, kind of release this calendar on social media, and gives people opportunity to bid on them and get them. And so, like I said, in the past years, it was a very much a mix of things. It would be, one day would be, a supernatural character, and then the next day it would be Michael Myers, and then the next day would be Scooby Doo. This year, I took a different approach. I had a lot of people ask about Disney villains, and me and my family are about to go to Disney, and so I felt very I just want to dedicate this entire month to Disney villains. And when you really think about it, 31 Disney villains, that's like all their villains. So, there's when I was making the list, it was actually pretty difficult kind of, pulling up characters that I thought people would want to see and would want to, have in their own home. And so that's what this year's going to be. That sketch calendar was released yesterday. And so the way I kind of do it is I release the calendar, and if there's a character that you'd be interested in purchasing, you can place what I call a dib. And because I don't want anyone to feel like they have to purchase a piece, because I haven't even drawn them yet. And so, I consider it a dib. That way, if I show you the piece and you go, man, Corbin, you really screwed that one up, you can back out on it. It's fine. It's not going to hurt my feelings. And then also gives people, people can have multiple dibs on a sketch. So if that first person says, hey, that's not what I want, or money actually got tight last week, so I can't do it, then, hey, no problem. I understand. And I go to the next person who placed the dib, and then the next, until someone either claims it or I, failed and no one wants it. And I just put it in a sketchbook and leave it for a show or something.
Yeah, I think I got second dibs on Hatbox Ghost. So I'm really hoping that first dibs falls through.
And it happens, it does happen. But I'll say the only one I've got left with no dibs, which I was surprised about on this one, was Pete.
Really?
Yep, he's the only one that does not have a dib on him. And a lot of people were kind of like, well, who's Pete? And if you don't know who Pete is, he's kind of the first Disney villain. Steamboat Willie, he was up against Mickey. Goofy movie. He was Goofy's neighbor. He's in Kingdom Hearts as a bad guy, and he's kind of always that kind of, butthole character. That's always kind of the opposite of Mickey and his friends.
Yeah, and Pete's one of those characters that you could go just about any direction with him that you wanted to go in. I mean, you could, go Goofy movie. I mean, you could draw him as a true villain.
Yeah.
And do like Kingdom Hearts or something.
Yeah, he's got a ton of different variations, and so, but yeah, he's the only one left. So if you are interested in grabbing a sketch, that one is the only one I can guarantee that you would go home with. We do have a couple that only have one dib right now. I think Maleficent only has one dib, which I was surprised about. I don't have my list. I don't have my list on me right now, but there are several that only have one. So,
you know what? I have the power of the internet right here, and we can actually pull that up. And I mean, I'm pretty sure your list is going to be a lot different. Actually, who has what?
Oh yeah,
but it'll kind of give people an idea.
Well, yeah, I think I'm kicking it off. Of course, October 1st will be the kickoff date, and the very first one is going to be Maleficent. And I felt like that, she's kind of the pinnacle of Disney villains for a lot of people. And so I kicked it off with her. And I also didn't want to do, just kind of all the mainstream villains. So there's a couple different ones in there. The one I'm probably most excited about is the giant squid from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That one's just going to be just a pretty interesting one, I think, and I think that's kind of one that was a little bit unexpected. But yeah, I got the Corsican, Queen of Hearts, Chernabog. He's a good one. A lot of people don't know who he is.
So when you draw something like him, because I mean, ultimately in the cartoon, he was really just like a blackish and purple demon-looking shape.
Yep.
How do you, and you said that you don't want to draw like what somebody else draws, their style. How do you make something like that your own? And this is coming from a non-artist perspective. I mean,
I'll be honest with you. I really don't have plan for it. A lot of times I don't know what I'm doing, especially during this event, because it's so many sketches in a row. A lot of times I don't have a plan for it until my pencil hits the paper. And I just start seeing what happens, So I can't give you I don't really know where I'm gonna go with that one at the moment. There are, like I said, there are a couple in here where I've got an idea. When I was listing them, I had the picture pop up in my head and was like, oh yeah, that would be cool. But there's also several in there that I really don't know what I'm gonna do yet.
See, honestly, the giant squid, I think, and however you would translate what he did with stop motion animation over to, art, Ray Harryhausen style giant squid, that would be cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Didn't he do it for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? Or was that somebody else?
I can't recall. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But the other interesting thing that's going to, several of the characters, especially some of these, especially with the villains, and then all the new artwork that's been coming out for the Lorcana card game. We've seen a lot of new kind of takes on these characters, and so I'm not going to be as faithful to the some of those original kind of designs. I might, I'm probably going to making these a little bit more, some of them a little bit more comic book style, some of them not. Character like we mentioned, Pete. I don't think you can really update him without completely changing what he looks like. So he's still going to be pretty faithful, but there's so many different iterations of Maleficent out there now, or the Queen of Hearts, and so some of those will probably end up being a little bit more me than Disney. But hopefully I do it enough to where people can still love it and still go, man, that's still Maleficent,
See, out of the Lorcana cards, I think one of my favorite ones is the one with Captain Hook, where he's walking across the water and his head's down and you really don't see his face. That is just a beautiful card.
And Captain Hook's probably my favorite Disney villain. So I'm excited for his card or for his sketch, and yeah, that's I haven't gotten lucky enough to grab a hold of any of the Lorcana packs, but that's definitely one of the ones I have my eyes out for to get, just because I just love the art for it that's been coming out for it. And if anybody knows anyone that does the Lorcana stuff, as far as publishing goes, let them know that I'm interested in drawing some Lorcana cards.
So a friend of mine sent me this app, and he's like, you need to check out this app. And it's actually it's the Disney Lorcana app. Mm-hmm. And you can, and I'm pulling it up for a reason. You'll understand here in a second. You can go in and here, I can just kind of show you if we can get the glare. It'll have all the cards.
Yeah.
But what you can do is you can actually like click on a card and put in how many of that card you own, and it's like your own little database.
Oh yeah.
And I was looking for that card that we were talking about. I can't remember which color it was, because I think if I have what I think I have on that, because we were fortunate enough to get a couple of packs. I want to say
Mm-hmm.
that was a.
Yeah, I kind of kicked myself. I saw them at Walmart one day, and just we were kind of in a rush, and just went, nah, I'll come back and get them. And then next thing I know, they're sold out everywhere.
Oh yeah, they were so ill prepared for this
Mm-hmm.
that it was not even funny. Where is that stupid card at? I'm gonna find it here in a second. But you also do the same thing, or you do Disney December. Is that what you have it named?
Oh yeah, it's Disney in December, and basically it starts December 1st and goes to the 25th, and I just I do Disney, Star Wars, or Marvel. There's a chance that this year I might do something different, just so I don't do Disney 2 times in a row. I haven't really, decided, but there's so many really cool Christmas movies and stuff that people love. Maybe I might just go, hey, we're just going to do Christmas movies, for these 25 days and kind of dip into some different, different things.
All
But I
right,
haven't
I'm putting
officially
the
decided.
dibs now on Cousin Eddie. Cousin Eddie's mine, and I will fight whoever I have to fight to get Cousin Eddie. Let's see if we can. Is that the one?
Yes, that's such a fantastic card.
So if you see that little counter right there, that number 3,
Yeah.
I've got 3 of those cards. Next time you're in town, holler at me, and I'll meet up with you and give you one of them.
No, I'll take you up on that.
Because they are those packs. That's the only thing that you remember way back in the day where if you bought an entire box of Marvel Masterpiece when they first come out,
Mm-hmm.
once you opened everything up, you had almost 2 complete collections of Marvel Masterpiece. Well, with this, it's not like that. And you might open up a box and there'd be 3 or 4 of one particular character. And we just ended up with 3 of those cards.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you want one of them, next time you're over this way, holler at me, and you're more than welcome to. Because like I said, I got 3 of them. You're more welcome to have one of them.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that's kind of I guess the frustrating thing when it comes to a lot of these card games and stuff. Because I know my kids were pretty big into Pokemon there for a bit, and we purchased one of those boxes and got it and got a lot of just the same cards over and over and over again. It was kind of gets frustrating a little bit. Do you do any? Yes. So actually, I do a lot of digital, especially now. I've got an iPad and I use Procreate. So a lot of my prints that I do now are digital. Especially I do a lot of travel for work, and so that's one reason why I got the iPad was so I can't really take I guess I could, but a giant 11x17 Bristol board through the airport's not exactly the best way to travel. So I always take my iPad with me wherever I go. Or we talked about earlier with kids and ball games and things like that. Taking a sketch pad is not exactly the best way to do it, and so it's a lot easier with the iPad. So definitely do a lot of digital now, and it's fun. But then of course, you don't have the original, and I know a lot of people like the original artwork, but
There's some of them I'm happy and content getting a print on.
mm-hmm.
But there's others like that Edgerton. I was not going to be satisfied unless I had that original for some reason. I don't know why.
And like if I do something traditional, normally if I color it, it'll be in watercolor or it'll be in Copic markers, and a lot of times those don't always make the best prints. You scan them in or take a picture of them, whatever you do, and you can kind of see some of those brush strokes and things kind of, I don't know, they don't come out as clean and crisp as some of those digital prints do. So especially when it comes to doing prints, I tend to do digital, or at least color them digitally.
Now that you got a Daredevil in the yellow and red suit. You did that
Mm-hmm.
one digital, didn't you?
Yep. Yeah. So, well, that one that one I actually did the original drawing in pencils, and wasn't completely. It was just it wasn't. I didn't have like a full background. It's just him kind of standing on that edge of the church, and it was a commission, and I always liked it, but wanted to do something more with it. So I actually took the pencils, scanned them in, and then kind of redid it digitally using that as a template. And then I did, of course, the solid red version, and then the yellow red, and did some prints of the yellow red suit, and one day once when those get gone, I might print some with the full red.
Which one do you prefer?
I like the yellow red. I know I'm in the minority there, but
see, I like the yellow red one too, but you're just a little bit of a Daredevil fan, correct?
Daredevil's my favorite. He's my favorite. We've got kind of every Daredevil comic from one to current. So yeah, definitely a massive Daredevil fan. But but the thing is I'm never happy with my Daredevils that I draw.
Really?
There's so many great Daredevil artists out there that, as I start drawing them, I start thinking about the way other people did them, and I'm just like, man, it doesn't look as good as as this artist did it, and so I kind of get frustrated a little bit sometimes. And it's the same thing with like Superman. I guess everyone always asks me, what's your least favorite thing to draw, or who's the hardest character? Hardest character is Superman for me. Because when I start drawing him, I start thinking of like George Perez's Superman, or there's just been so many classic versions of him, and I get done with them and I'm like, it doesn't look as good as as these other people.
But as strange as it sounds, whenever I think of Superman, I automatically default to live action Christopher Reeves and George Reeves.
Yeah.
I just, for some reason, I automatically default to them.
No, I understand. Yeah, I understand that completely.
So I'm going to let you get through October and December. Okay. And you might have to draw me a Stilt Man. Stilt Man, preferably the Wally Wood style from that era. Yeah, that would be great.
Well, so
Daredevil number 8, believe it or not, is one of my prized possessions, and I don't know why. I love that character.
Oh, he's great. I might end up, kind of cheating you though, and just drawing just really legs to just keep going, and then his actual character is, just that big.
Is that big?
Fetish. Yep.
Yeah. Tom's not joking. I mean, he's dead serious on that, and he justifiably so.
Did you ever get his Marvel Legend, where you could get
never did.
They released them a while back as a Marvel Legend, and then there was, I think it was the one of the ninjas they had his legs, and so you could just buy as many ninjas as you wanted, because that was you get kind of built your army. And then you could just make Stiltman as tall as you wanted. And I'd get online and you see these pictures, and they would have him, Stiltman 8 feet tall. It's because they made his legs so long.
Yeah, my wife's going to be so mad at you for this. I'm gonna have to track that down now.
I think now he's, it's a pretty cheap on the secondary market. So
I'm gonna have to track him down. My toy obsession right now is G.I. Joe Classified. I'm picking them up left and right.
Oh yeah, I was going pretty hard on the Classified, and got really lucky because my dad. It was right before COVID, and I used to be a huge G.I. Joe collector when I was a kid, and he saw them at Walmart, the new releases, and he was just like, "You want these?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure," And so he grabbed them all. And just bought them all. and and brought them home for me and whatnot. And I was able to get, like the Baroness with the motorcycle. And I don't know if you remember, but they had a massive like shortage when COVID hit, and
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't get them out, and the prices for them skyrocketed. Especially I think like the Baroness with the motorcycle was like $300 at one point in time.
Yeah,
And,
at one point when the Hiss tank came out, you could pick up the Hiss tank at Walmart for like I think right at $40,
yeah,
and it was going for over 300 online at one point too.
yeah. So basically the prices got so high that I was just like, man, I hate to do this, but I got to flip them. It just got too high, and so I asked my wife. I said, hey, I've got these GI Joe figures, and they're going for quite a bit right now. If I flip them, can I buy something stupid? And she was like, yeah, if you do the work to flip them, go ahead. And so I think I still have several of them, but I sold about 4 or 5 of them and got like $700 and bought like a sideshow statue.
Oh, nice.
Because I was like, no way I was ever going to be able to get one, and so that was a fun little deal there.
So every time we have an artist or a comic book writer on, I always ask the same question.
Okay.
And and for whatever reason, sometimes I'm really shocked by the answer. And other times it's just like a normal answer. But are you currently collecting? And if so, what are you reading?
So I just recently stopped collecting, but I'm still reading. And the reason why I quit at the moment was because I've got a long box just full of comics that I haven't read, where I was getting the issues and just didn't have time to read them, and was putting them in the long box, and so was just sticking them in there. And so I'm kind of going back now and reading what all I had missed. And so actually right now I'm reading the third compendium of Invincible. Blech, I couldn't get that out.
I have never read Invincible.
I'd never read it, and watched, of course, the first season on Amazon and loved it. And so I got the first 2 compendiums and just finished the second one. So I've got that I'm working on. I'm trying to read that. Also, I'm going back and reading some, wanting to read some old Animal Man. I've got one of his compendiums that I picked up that I'm wanting to go back and read. But at the time when I was kind of collecting, of course, I was keeping up with Daredevil, Saga. I was really getting into a lot of the independent titles, through Image, and of course I was doing Something's Killing the Children. Trying to think, Firepower. So a lot of those. I wasn't doing a lot of Marvel and DC.
Yeah, a lot of times when I ask that question, believe it or not, we get an answer of, "Yeah, I don't read comic books." Okay, you write comic books for a living. You don't want to know what's out there? No, not really.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
Yeah, Kyle Higgins probably had one of the best answers. He was like, "Yeah, I don't really read comic books. I just wait till a trade comes out, then I go pick up the trade just so I can keep up with what everybody else is doing." And that's it. And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know if I could do that. You have access to all those comic books. I would never quit reading.
Mm-hmm. Well, and another reason behind it was, we currently don't have a shop in Florence. There's one in Muscle Shoals, which is near, and then of course there's you guys in the Madison Huntsville area and so on. But I just had such a hard time getting to shops, just because there wasn't one that was just right there, and really struggled with that.
Well, I'm sure Josh would set you up a box.
Oh, I know, but then it would be
just come to town once a month.
See, I'm not even in that area once a month, but it's and that's kind of that's also how I kind of got behind, is So it'd be so long, and then I'd come home with a month of comic books or whatever, and couldn't ever sit down and go through them.
Well, I can tell you that the new Daredevil that just came out a few weeks ago was flipping awesome.
So I was able to grab. I was in Nashville last week, Monday, and stopped in at a shop, and they had a Daredevil #1 on the wall, and I did grab that. So I haven't read it yet, but I think you were telling me about how awesome it was.
I was really surprised at how good that book ended up being.
And I also ended up getting a blank sketch cover. They had one, so I grabbed one of those, and plan on doing something fun with that down the road.
Nice. There was something else I was going to ask you, and I forgot what it was. Oh, well, Bill actually had a question about Disney. What you looking forward to?
Oh man, well, I'm building my own lightsaber, so I'm pretty pumped about that. I went ahead and got the reservations to do that. Me and my son are doing it together, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Oh man, course the rides. My kids are terrified of roller coasters, so that's going to be just hilarious. Making them get on them. Honestly, probably as lame as this sounds, just kind of getting away, just kind of getting that break from work and just kind of just getting to hang out with the family for a week and be in Disney and the food. I'm a big foodie, so
if you could just go ahead, just think of me while you're eating fish and chips at Harbor House, I'll be good with that for now.
I'll send you pictures.
That works too.
Just a picture of every one of my meals sent to you.
Yeah, every time we go to Disney, it's fish and chips at Harbor House, and then the backyard burger at Sci-Fi Drive-In. If I don't get those two things at least once that week, I'm done. I'm mad. I hate my family. I'm ready to go home.
Yeah, we it's been I guess about 5 years since we went. We went when the kids were a lot smaller. We ate at the the Hawaii Luau restaurant. I can't remember what it's called. And we had a lot of fun there doing that. And then there's that pub that's in downtown Disney. Was really good. We really enjoyed that one too.
Yeah, the only place that we've eaten at downtown Disney was T-Rex. For some reason, my kids love T-Rex, the dinosaur themed restaurant.
Yeah.
And then there's a place in there that if you get a chance, if you're facing the actual Disney store, it's to the left of the Disney store. It's called Earl of Sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only bad thing about Earl of Sandwich is there is going to be a line for days.
Oh,
but
really?
It is so worth it. That place is so good.
Wife just got home.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
You're in trouble now.
Probably for something. No, I cooked dinner tonight, so there's food for her. She's happy with me right now.
Oh, she happy. Well, if you need to go and take care of that, I mean, do what you got to do.
It's all they're ready for. So
right.
she's got to pop in the microwave for a little bit.
So, what is up next for you after that? Because we've got Disney in December, or whatever it's going to be in December. What you got planned after that?
So I've got of course the Disney in December, or we're going to get through Wicked. November, I'm going to be pretty heavily involved with my real job. I'm going to be doing some traveling for them and stuff. And then of course Disney in December. And then after that, I'm sure I'll probably need to start work on the Huntsville poster, and get that ready for next year. I've got a lot of personal projects that I keep putting on the back burner. That I'd really like to get done. And so I'm really hoping to dive into some of that. Couple comic book ideas, couple children book ideas that I'd really like get down and do. It's so hard right now to get involved with some of these publishers. They want you to have experience, but don't want to hire you if you don't have experience type situations. And also there's just so much competition now that I keep hearing the way to do it is to really just kind of do your own thing. And so that's kind of my goal, do my own thing and just create some stories that I enjoy and that I love and go from there.
See, I mean, I told you a few weeks ago, I still think you need to send in a portfolio to Disney.
I'm heavily thinking about that, especially after this Wicked event. I get some more sketches under my belt. Because like I said, I would love to do some Lorcana designs or do something, but there's a way you can do it and submit it. I'm sure that I'll probably just receive a cease and desist letter in return, but I'm gonna.
Yeah,
I'm
but
gonna
can they really? I mean, I know it is Disney, but would they really and truly send you a cease and desist since it's technically classified as fan art?
They could, if they were like, if they got wind that I was selling it, which they can. I know I've heard of people receiving them, for making prints of certain artworks and things like that. So who knows? I've also heard stories of them seeing, an artist on Pinterest or YouTube and going, "Hey, they're great. Let's hire them." So, yeah. I think I don't know. I guess it's like rolling the dice, see what happens.
Now you do that portfolio. You really and truly need to consider putting in the Sanderson sisters that you've done.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the first time that I saw Winifred, no, it wasn't Winifred. Crap, the one that's got black hair.
Yeah.
Heavy set. The first time I saw that sketch that you did, I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, my
one stopped me in my tracks.
My wife kept all of those. She's always been a huge fan of them, and so she's got all of those. And she's probably one of my best clients when it comes to Wicked. she ends up always grabbing one or two of them. So
yeah, but does she spend your money on it or her money on it?
Oh, I don't get paid for that. That's just that's her payment for allowing me to get away and draw while she gives the kids baths and things.
That's a fair trade-off.
Yeah. So, but yeah, she's always great around this time of year because she knows how stressful it can get, trying to get some of these sketches out last minute and so on.
Have a good night, Kyle. When you do the poster for because like the posters are always themed and they're tailored to whatever, the guests that are actually at the show that year or what they've worked on. How do you, I mean, do you just sit down and just start drawing or do you just kind of,
sometimes,
how does that actually come about?
Well, I usually, me and Jeremy with Huntsville, we go back and forth throughout the year. And of course I'll see, sometimes he'll let me in and let me know what some of the guests are. Sometimes he wants me to be as surprised as everyone else is. If you were asking me right now, I don't, besides what he's posted, I don't know who else he's got. But usually, I'll tell him, hey, you want to start working on this now, and he'll shoot me a message with who he's got or who he's got planned, and we'll start kind of coming up with an idea. We'll go back and forth and, just kind of pitch a few ideas. For example, last year it was so Star Trek heavy. And of course you had the Star Wars, that the original poster we thought would be funny to do kind of like a Star Trek versus Star Wars. But then they got all the Naruto cast in, and it was like, well, how can we put these, we definitely want to show the Naruto cast. So how do we incorporate this? And so, we were brainstorming, and then I just kind of, Naruto's really big with, with ramen. So like, what if we had like a ramen house, ramen bar, and we had just all these characters eating ramen, it'd be kind of funny,
Yeah.
And so he was like, yeah, let's do that. And so I started doodling up ideas, and, started kind of thinking, okay, what would this character be doing? If he was with all these other characters. And in fact, in the poster, there's a section there where, Kirk is kind of bumping into Ahsoka. And that was kind of a nod to our original idea of this kind of Star Wars versus Star Trek thing. So
no, we actually had a couple of questions in the comments that I missed.
Oh, what color lightsaber would you choose and why? Oh, probably either green or orange. One, I've always just loved the look of the green sabers. Especially in the movies and stuff. It's just so bright, and of course, some of the coolest characters had a green saber. But I love the orange sabers. I love the way they look too. Orange is kind of my favorite color. So may go that route. I don't know. That's one. That's a hard one.
Then, and this is a pretty good question. I wished I thought to ask this earlier.
Oliver Coipel is one of my all-time favorites. I've always loved his style. Of course, like I said, I kind of grew up, looking at Jim Lee's artwork, and although I'm not a huge fan of his now, I still think to this day that his artwork on Hush is some of the best Batman artwork out there. Can't go wrong with Alex Ross. I'll never ever reach his talent, but just what he does is absolutely incredible. Oh man, I'm a huge fan right now of I don't know if I'm gonna pronounce his name right, but George Jimenez. Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah. Huge fan of his right now. Francis Manupul is absolutely fantastic. And Francis's artwork I feel like is somewhat similar to mine, because his is a little bit more stylized and cartoonish. So I kind of like to see what he does. Growing up, I was a massive Michael Turner fan. He probably had the biggest influence on me as a young artist. I jump around. I love everybody. it's just one of those that I follow as many as I can, and kind of look at what they do and what I love about it. And I think one of the coolest things right now is, especially in comic books, is there is such a wide variety of styles. There for a long time, everyone kind of copied each other stylistically, and now it's just, you've got comic book artwork coming out that looks more anime. You've got the more, stylized versions, or a lot of them gone back to using, watercolors and paints to do them. So, there's just so many to choose from.
You need to check out Dan Panosian on Black Tape by AWA. Okay. The way he does the art, it literally feels like a late 70s, early 80s horror movie.
Oh, that's great.
It's just, even the art. It's just the way he does the entire thing. He definitely has the entire vibe just absolutely nailed on that.
That sounds awesome.
So we've covered Wicked. We've covered our love for Daredevil and how Stiltman is the greatest villain ever created.
Yeah.
Got Disney in December. Pop Culture Expo. Do you have any cons coming up on the horizon after? Well, I mean, con season's pretty much over with now, isn't it?
Yeah, I just got done. Like I said, Columbia was my last one of the year. So, well, at least when it comes to comic books, I've got some expos I got to do for work that are not comic book related. But that's it as far as comic ones go. I guess my next one is probably going to be Huntsville. I think that'll probably be my next one. So, like I said, I don't do a ton of traveling around. You know, I kind of stick to more of the local stuff. So, yeah, they're Kyber crystal colors. Oh, okay. I didn't know you could do that. Thank you, Bill. That's a good tip.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on because we're looking at going back in 2025.
Yeah.
That was because we've kind of. My daughter has this plan, and I was like, well, why wait till you're grown when we can do it now? She wants to go back in 2025 because that'll be the 10th anniversary of her first Disney trip.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, cool, we can do that. But then I think in 2026, we're going to go to Salem because of the Hocus Pocus stuff and everything they do up there. And then in 2027, if we maintain this plan, there's actually a place, I believe it's called Helena, or it's right around Mount St. Helens. It's in Oregon.
Okay.
That every Halloween, they decorate the entire town like the Disney movie Halloween Town.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So I think we're going to start doing that, and then we'll start mixing in some Christmas movies after that.
Yeah,
and just kind of rotate Christmas and Halloween trips.
Yeah, we're me and my wife have been talking. As far as next year, me and her we haven't gotten to take just me and her trip in several years. You know, besides the occasional weekend in Nashville or something. And so we've been somewhat talking about, okay, could we do something next year? And of course, the talk usually goes to the beach or mountains or whatnot. And I kind of brought up the other day, I'd love to do something just completely outside the box, like just pick like a really nice town in Maine or something, just go somewhere we've never gone to, and just with work, I've gotten to go up north a few times, up to like Massachusetts and stuff, and that area is is really nice, especially around the fall, and just kind of history wise, they've got a lot of history up there, of course, and just some pretty cool areas, or we've never gone to the Carolinas. I'd love to go to Charlotte or something like that.
So my dad was from backwoods North Carolina, and I've been going up there my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
I think you would really like, because it's so laid back. There's an area up there. It's called Bryson City, but you've kind of got like Bryson City, the Cherokee Indian Reservation, Maggie Valley, and then if you cross the mountain, then you have Gatlinburg. It's right there on the border. But that entire stretch through there, I mean, it's scenic, it's relaxed. I mean, that is the place to go to get away from people.
Sounds great.
And then we actually went, I want to say about 6-7 years ago. My cousin got married in Delaware, and my daughter was in the wedding. And we stayed at Reboth Beach in Delaware, and you've got Reboth Beach and then Reboth Beach, Delaware, and Ocean City, Maryland. It's literally like Slaughter Road. You got Huntsville on one side and Madison on the other side. That's literally the way it's divided up. And I was really shocked at how nice that place was. It was just this kickback, laid back beach town, and the boardwalk area would remind you of the movie Jaws.
Oh, yeah. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, so that would definitely be a place to go check out. Problem is, it's a 16-hour drive. And if you fly, you've actually got to fly into Philadelphia and then drive over there.
Yeah, that's and right now with flights are kind of awful right now. I don't know if you've had to fly lately. They've had so many shortages when it comes to pilots and things that it's getting a flight is kind of tough.
Well, the only travel that I do for my job is from H-Wing over to E-Wing, then back to H-Wing. And that's it. 3 hallways. That's all I got to do.
Oh, yeah. I had to go to Minnesota earlier this year, and it was supposed to, fly out on like a Wednesday, and get there on Wednesday evening, and then wake up and set up for my expo that I had to do and whatnot. And my plane just kept getting delayed, and I finally got into Minnesota at like 2 a.m. that Thursday morning, and had to like go to my hotel, slept for 2 hours, and then I had to wake up and then break into the expo center to set up. Or I didn't break in, but get in there and set up and then basically, did a whole expo on 2 hours of sleep after being stuck in an airport all day long. It was absolutely awful.
Yeah, I would have passed on that one. I'd have let them have that one.
Yeah, that was not a fun one.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything that I wanted to cover tonight. You got anything you want to cover?
I believe that's it for me too. I appreciate you.
I mean, I know how it is with small kids. You got to do family time and put everybody to bed and stuff.
Oh yeah, we are. That's about that time for them too. We're pretty strict on our kids. At 8:30, 9 o'clock starts coming around, and it's mom and dad time. Y'all are off.
Exactly. And the bad thing about it is mom and dad time usually ends within about 15 minutes when one of y'all's asleep.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right then. So we are going to jump over. We'll have to have you back on one night. Nick Ellis was actually hollering on this group chat that we have. He was wanting you to do like a live draw of stuff tonight. And I was like, I'm sitting there thinking, this man covered up with drawings for like the next month. I'm not going to, and he was wanting like Goku and Spider-Man and stuff like that.
Well, I'll be honest. I suck at live drawings because I get so either one, I'll get so caught up in the drawing that I forget to talk to you, or I get so caught up in talking that I forget to draw. So,
well, one thing. So Nick and I have this ongoing on again, off again argument over who's better, Stilt Man or Impossible Man.
Okay.
From Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So if you could draw Stilt Man holding Impossible Man's head, that would be great.
Yeah, just have him drop him from a huge height from his stilts.
Yeah, just be done with it. All right, well, that is it. So tomorrow at about 11:15, I know we didn't cover any comics tonight. I'm going to make y'all wait for tomorrow. We did have an extremely full store folio. Y'all will get that video tomorrow. Next week, Josh will be back, and we're definitely going to have Corbin back on when Josh is on one night. But other than that, here's our outro.